Okay, let's go over these first few assignments that help us see where you want to move as you go forward through the course. First, let's talk about the colors exercise. If you received 100 on that colors exercise, then I want you to start with a foundation that you are absolutely brilliant. If you didn't do quite so well on the colors exercise, I honestly believe it's only because you didn't read all of the instructions or follow the video tutorial. But remember as you go through that this is a learning curve, and regardless of what you made on essay number 1, you are brilliant. What we need to do is get to the top of this learning curve where the skill level and the content editing is behind you so that you can move forward and excel in the course. No, you may not resubmit essay number 1. The ability or the offers to resubmit essays or assignments is long past, and so that assignment is now closed. If you did not complete the assignment is now closed. So, let's go over some of the things that I noticed in the first essay. Because you are brilliant, I see that some of you are not editing your work, and a couple of other problems exist, so let's go over those together. Even if you made 100 on the essay, I still want you to watch this tutorial. So let's look at the most glaring problem that I see. The first problem that I see is a number of people who are not completing a works cited page in MLA format. Many of you are completing the citations, and then you have a list, but you are not completing the follow-through on this list. Remember that once you complete your project, you want to make sure you are in the current form of MLA, and we're going to make sure that when this is printed, it will come out alphabetically. Then we tick each one of these boxes. I noticed, this is just an example to show you, but I noticed that in many of your essays there was not a citation for the definition of bias. Now remember, since we're human beings, we don't know anything, so if we're writing an essay on bias, then we would need to have a working article definition of bias. So that would not include a dictionary definition, since this is a college-level expository essay. So what I would have done, let me leave here just a second and go to Google. Since I don't want a dictionary definition, I would type into Google, what is bias article? Now when you look at the prerequisite skills for this course, in prior English courses you've already written research papers, so you already understand how to document sources and how to research properly. These are articles, and I can look at some of these and see what might be an excellent one to use, and I want to quote from that and then add that to my works cited page. Let's go back to EasyBib. When I have completed my project, I carefully go through my list and make sure that I put a checkbox next to all of the articles that I read, studied, or opened. Then I'm going to click Export, and when the export box comes up, I want to make sure that I click Print as a Microsoft document. When that is completed, the works cited page will show up in my lower left-hand tray. When the Word document opens, I want to make sure that I click Enable, Editing, and then I'm going to carefully go through and make sure that all of my articles are complete without anything screaming at me. Notice that when I do this the proper way, there is indentation, and notice also that there will be no hyperlinks. Everything will be in Word form because we don't ever include a hyperlink in an MLA citation page. Some of you forgot that step, and so your citation page came out with works cited, or there was no indentation, or in some cases the list was not alphabetized. You simply missed that step of export, print as a Word document. Now let's go to the modules section of the course and look at the modules that we needed to have studied in order for the first essay to be completed properly, beginning with the Start Here menu, where each one of these documents needed to have been read, including the first introductory document about the important selection of images, also known as qualitative analysis. I want to mention here that 96% of you who submitted an essay with an image did an excellent job. The outstanding one that comes to mind is the essay on global warming. That image was spot on. If I took that image out of context and only looked at the image, I would know exactly what that essay was about. Most of you did well on the image. If you did not, I sent you a little note on that. These were the discussion boards, but the study modules is so important because I've organized these with meaningful content so that I can clearly see if students have studied this material. And if you have, opened and studied this all-important page on revising your essay, then that would show up in your final product. Another important page in this Study Documents module is what is point of view. In there I explain that never ever, when writing an expository essay, does a student write the words we, you, our, us, we all, you, your. Never. And yet, in several essays, I noticed students writing first person and then third person and then we, you, us, and that's completely unacceptable. Now, at this point, I want to pause a second and mention to you that this is grammatical. This course is an advanced course. The grammatical components of this course are already prerequisites. Prior to taking this course, you were to have learned about sentence construction, paragraph development, as well as the construction of a paragraph, a thesis sentence, a topic sentence, and so forth. In addition, you received instructions in the module for the essay. And I want to remind you that when grading the essay, my job as the instructor of an advanced English course is to grade your content development, your content strategy, your logical organization of content, not your punctuation and grammatical content. That is graded, and that's covered in the rubric score, which you all received, as well as comments. Let's look at that module for this particular assignment. As you can see, we started with an overview grid, and then we had the module objectives. We had a little fun writing exercise to sort of get everybody warmed up for this. And then we had the overview tutorial, followed by how to analyze film, what is bias, and of course from there, because we've already studied that how to research page, we know that we need to find a working definition of bias. In a college level expository essay, it's not appropriate to quote something from the course. You would want to go to the actual source and include that in your works cited page. The My Reading page was simply to be opened when you were studying the internet for your topics, or while you were studying a text that you checked out from the library. That way, when you are writing and studying or reading or whatever, your time is logged in to your user account in the course. The documentary was submitted here and included a tutorial that went over exactly how the essay was to be written and how it was to be organized. Notice that at timestamp 59 or 1 minute, I went over exactly how the document was to be constructed. Later in the tutorial, I walk through how to document your sources in EasyBib. That is on time step 332. Later, I go over the details of how to exactly write the essay. We know that the essay was to be somewhere between 700 and 1,000 words. Remember that studying that word count page at the beginning of the course showed you where each of your drafts and revisions would be credited to you in the word count. If you did not include that and did not follow those directions, you were given credit for the number of words that you indicated on the word count. You'll want to make sure going forward that you give yourself credit for all edited revisions and words that you write or rewrite. And finally, in this tutorial, I went over how to select qualitative analysis, a title image for your essay. Now, as you move forward in the course and move on to the next assignments, remember that you are brilliant, and remember that this is a learning curve, and regardless of what your grade was in this essay, you want to use that as a building block and move forward. Make use of all of the campus resources available to you so that you can check your work before you submit it for grading. For the next essay, I will be grading the content, the tone, and the persuasive elements of your short essay that's coming up. Remember, follow the step-by-step instructions, the tutorials that are included that take you through the process, and give yourself time to really enjoy the essay and edit. And that concludes this tutorial.